Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Data Dispatch. This is going to be a very exciting video, and that is because the whole world is awaiting what the Fed is going to do at the end of the policy meeting tomorrow that will highlight if interest rates are going to be cut and if it's going to be a 50 or a 25 basis point cut. We could have a lot of volatility that comes in. How does that correlate to Palantir Technologies? Currently sitting at these multi-year highs that we have not seen in a long time, sitting at about $37. Now, if we see PLTR and the market is happy with the Fed's rate cut decision, we could see Palantir that does test the 37s, possibly breaking out above. And what does that mean for FOMO, institutional, retail investment? A lot of different variables are on the table. If you are a new or returning viewer, hit that like button, subscribe for daily videos, and of course, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm collecting all the data and dispatching it to you. Pop it up here. Palantir closes at 36.45. Volume at about 64 million, slightly above its 3-month average. That's good. Good to see here. We have a lot of trendiness behind Palantir. At 36.45, you see the establishment, and holding in these higher 30s is incredibly important in doing very well on a technical perspective. One thing that I am seeing on the option side of things is a lot of call volume at the 36.5, at the 37, at the 38. You can see here, even at the 38, 64,000 on the call volume. That is heavily outbeating the put volume right now on the end of the week expirations. Talking about some of the articles that we are seeing in the media. Talking about here, Palantir Technologies, can it surge another 2x to $70? That would be another 100% increase. One thing important to know, since the beginning of the year, it's already up over 100%, going from 16 to about 35 bucks right now, following the demand of generative AI. And even with the software data analytics, Palantir is a leading competitor in this industry. And we've seen this come to fruition recently with the inclusion into the S&P 500. And that rebalance is coming here in just a few short trading sessions. That's when you're going to see the actual price movements that are actually being affected by actual buying of funds that are tracking the S&P 500. Right now, you're just seeing the inclusion effect. And that's already up about 15% with just that inclusion effect. And one of the big questions out there is, has the peak been reached? And is this a reasonable multiple? That's the biggest concern that we've talked about, is its valuation. Of course, at some point, that valuation does need to be acknowledged. I would agree with that. However, is it a reasonable multiple right now? Possibly yes, and even room to grow. You might be, saying, why am I talking back and forth, going back on both sides of things? It's because we're trying to analyze the perspective. And over the last few years, we have to remember that Palantir has been at these price actions before. Think about its multiple then. And the fact that we've seen Palantir at this price before they've been GAAP profitable, before AIP, before we've seen the amount of revenue that they brought in, we've seen this done in the past. And revenue growth coupled with margin expansion, I think, is the key. Depending on the variables and the market volatility that we're going to see, Palantir has always kind of consistently reported improvement in its business margins, which has increased its net income to about 3 to 4 times. Now, the company is in a position possibly here to double its earnings every year over the next 3 years. So if it grows about 1.6x in between fiscal year of 24 and 2026, the margins expand by about 4x, allowing the earnings to grow 6.4x. You see the price to earnings multiple here is still going to remain relatively high. However, historically, it has for Palantir. And I think of the multiple here, and I agree with Forbes, standing at about 50x, this could make a 2 times rise or 100% rise in Palantir a real possibility in the coming years. And the stock rising about 70 to about 70 bucks. So I think if we see margin expansion that continues along with revenue growth and always kind of trading at this high valuation, continuing to stay in a bull market, and especially an AI bull market, it makes sense. Nobody probably would have saw Palantir at 35 right now and possibly going to be breaking the 37s tomorrow, depending on market conditions. We also have Jim Cramer coming in here saying that Palantir Technologies, AI's potential shines despite a high price and opacity. However, if you believe in that reverse Jim Cramer theory, we could be flipping the other way. But Cramer basically pointed out here, talking about his perspective on Palantir Technologies. You have a lot of hedge funds that are starting to come in here, starting to hold PLTR, institutional investment. You could see that FOMO that is being kind of right now at the forefront, especially with the S&P 500. And I think we're seeing that with the inclusion effect. But however, Cramer even here remaining optimistic about the artificial intelligence initiatives and talking about this, even though sometimes their company, what they do, it can be hard for a lot of people to fully understand. Recent addition to the S&P 500 has led to a big, significant boost. And with the expansive names in software right here, company, things are looking good. Offering here possibly a strong investor opportunity, he even comes out and says, due to its impressive financial performance growth driven by AI. Now, what's happening in the markets? That is, the S&P 500 closes little change Tuesday after we see it hit an all-time high ahead of the key Fed decision. Now, flatlining, we are at all-time highs right now. A lot of uncertainty is coming in, and we saw this with the market close. However, the Federal's key interest rate cut decision, let's talk about percentages in terms of what's being priced in right now in terms of probability regarding those rate cuts. Fresh records are showing here. We do know that September is historically a bad month for the broader market. September has been the worst benchmark, actually, in the past 10 years. Not the best track record, averaging a 1.3% monthly loss. However, traders are starting to get a little concerned with the health of the U.S. economy. We're seeing some decrease right now in the futures. However, traders are currently pricing in a 63% chance that the central bank eases rates by 50 basis points. That's up from a 47% chance Friday, slightly lower than a 67% earlier forecast on Tuesday. What this means is we're starting to see an increased percent of pricing in and betting that we're going to see a 50 basis point cut. In my own personal opinion, I am still more believing in a 25 basis point cut. I think a 50 basis point cut, I think that'd be a little risky for the Fed to take because remember, their overall goal is a soft landing. They don't want to cause a hard crash. So why take the risk on a 50 basis point cut unless they think things have been held too high for too long? But just where the market stands right now, in terms of what we've seen in CPI data, jobs data, retail data, I don't see personally why they would be so gun-ho on a 50 basis point cut. This could really spark concerns about the health of the economy and would further imply a downgrade on the view in the labor market, causing a stronger amount of selling pressure. However, we'll see what happens, and especially with tomorrow's market, the policy meeting, what they're going to conclude with. But that's what I'm thinking. What do you guys think? Finishing up here, NVIDIA has had a lot of controversy regarding its price. However, let's look at a technical perspective here from this article that came out talking a beautiful cup and handle, hints at a massive breakout. Now, if we specifically go and toggle over to NVIDIA, we see this cup and handle that is staring at us right in front of our face. You see the important support zone that we've seen at that 100. And right now, at this cup and handle, sitting at about 115, as we have for market close, where is the anticipation if the market does well, positive reaction? Analysts are believing $130 is on the table. NVIDIA has been at 130 before. We've seen this with the resistance that's been up here, but this hasn't been seen since August. But I mean, that was just last month. So lots of volatility that's been in NVIDIA, however, still incredibly successful. Now, NVIDIA going higher than 130, that's a big question. We've seen some analysts talk about 150. I think a lot of this, we don't know, depending on what the severity of those rate cuts are going to be tomorrow, in terms of it's going to be 25 to 50 basis point cuts. I think that is more important to analyze and wait for, I mean, in my own opinion, before we kind of make all these big technical guesses on what's going to happen on a technical basis, because the whole market could be going for a swing tomorrow. What do you guys think is going to happen, especially with Palantir? Do you think that breakout's on the table above the 37, or do you think the market's going to be red tomorrow just due to uncertainty, and we could be seeing some selling pressure? Peace out, take care. I'll catch you guys later. I'm excited to report what happens tomorrow. Make sure you guys stay tuned.